Hey, what do you guys do for filtration on your RV? You should be doing something, whether it's just, a sediment filter and a taste filter at the very minimum. If you're in a place where you have hard water, a softener of some sort. Let me show you what I'm doing here and what I'm going to change today. So currently what we've got is, and by the way, I just have one line coming up. I split it off right here. This is really going to bug some people. You can go ahead and leave me a comment if you want to. I split it off right here, and I run this one up to the clean out for the black tank, and then this one to our water system. And again, I know that bugs a whole bunch of you. I get it. But what I have here is a double check in addition to what's already in the RV, but it's shut off here and it's shut off here. And so whenever I flush the tank, I open this one up first so the water pressure is pushing through and hitting here first, then I open that up. And when I'm done flushing, I close this one off first so water pressure is still pushing that direction, then I shut it off here. I believe there is like next to zero chance of anything getting back in the line. I could be wrong. Now, having said that, I'm actually going to change that up here when the weather warms up. Part of the reason I do that is I didn't want to run two hoses. I just wanted to run one hose. I don't know if that's lazy or what, but just the one hose to deal with. And we are still cold here in southern Idaho, though it's been pretty warm during the day. At night it still gets pretty dang cold. And so this allows me to just use the one hose coming in here instead of the two hoses. Now I'm probably going to change that, and as the weather gets warmer, I am going to run one hose directly to here and then just have a second hose come along and lay here and hook it up when I need to. But anyway, that's what we're doing for now. Now, as far as the water filtration, I just use one of these Camco water filters. I know perhaps some of you think that's not sufficient, but this is actually a 5-stage water filter. Yes, they're maybe a little more expensive, and perhaps, I don't know, maybe I have to change it a little more often, I'm not sure. But it sure is a lot more convenient just having this one filter. Now, having said that, I'm going to change that too. I'll explain all that here in a minute. So this line comes out through the filter and we go into a softener. If you are anywhere where you have hard water, you definitely need to be doing something about softening up the water. And this is what we've used, is this water softener. Now, having said that, we're going to change that too. I want to tell you about why we're changing the water softener idea. Here's the deal. So I've been in water treatment industry actually for about 20-30 years, and I know a little bit about softeners, and they work really good. I'll give you just a brief operational understanding of them. I'm not going to go into detail, but I'll give you a little bit of background on how a softener works. So just really briefly, the way a softener works is the hardness in the water created by calcium and magnesium and other things is what leaves that hard scaling on your glass and your shower doors, your plumbing fixtures, and kind of ruins your water heater, things like that. And the softener, what it does is it uses salt and what they call ion exchange, and there are beads in this tank that sit in kind of a brine solution with salt and water, and it exchanges when the hardness comes in. It gets exchanged there, and it releases the salt ions into the water and collects all of the calcium and magnesium. Now in a home system, it's a lot easier to control because you have a separate brine tank where there's salt solution in it, and then another tank that has the resin beads in it. And you do a water test to see how many grains per gallon of hardness you have, and then you dial up your system to do a regeneration and backwash accordingly. You can't do that in an RV because on a regenerating system, it goes on a timer based on how much water usage has gone through the filter system. In a home system, you have that timer on there that knows when it needs to backflush based on how many grains per gallon of hardness that you had in your system. And then it flushes the water out, it pulls in brine from the brine tank and regenerates those resin beads with new salt so that it can do the process all over again. In an RV, you can't do that. And you know why? It's because you have a holding tank and you would run a huge risk of overflowing and creating a lot of damage. So it has to be done manually. And basically, the way you have to do that is when you notice that your water is getting hard because you're seeing scaling again, then you have to come out here and manually regenerate this. You do that by disconnecting it from the system, taking the system out, dumping the water out, putting new water in, and then stirring it up a little bit, pouring the salt in, stirring it up a little bit, flushing it a bit to get the salt out after it's sat in there for a while, because you have to let the salt sit in there for quite a while so that it collects on the beads again. And then it's kind of a hassle for us because we've been in the cold weather lately, and so I have to keep this all inside. If it were outside, it would be a lot easier because I could just tip it over on the ground and do it right there. But here I have to lift this whole thing out of here and do it. The other thing that I found is that they just have you use regular old table salt, Morton salt or whatever brand you want to use. And it doesn't work as well as softener salt does. It doesn't regulate as well. And so you can actually even end up with a little bit of, instead of scaling on your shower doors, a little salt resin left on there that whites off easy, but it's still on there. But anyway, it's kind of it's a hassle doing that. And like I said, you don't get it very regulated because there's just no way of controlling it with a manual system like this, getting the salt solution just exactly right to do the job without creating its own problems. So we're going to change that up today with a new system, and I'll show you what that is going to be. We are actually going to take the softener out and not use it anymore, and we're going to use this NuvoH20 RV water treatment system. Now, I'll put a link in the description. Hopefully I'll remember to do that, how you can get a hold of these guys. It's a pretty big chance taking for me because this cost upwards over $500. And so I'm really hoping it does what it claims to do. In fact, I'll probably do a follow-up video after we've had it and let you know what I think about the way it performs. But here's how it's supposed to perform. You've got one filter here, and by the way, of course, I just talked to you about how nice and convenient these were, and we're going to ditch that again and go back to this three-stage system. The way this works is this first one here is sounds like some kid screaming over there. Oh well. This one is just a sediment filter. You're probably familiar with these. And then you have heavy metals and block carbon filter in here. And then this is the Nuvo citrus-based non-salt system. And this is the part that is supposed to deal with the hardness. Now, unlike a softener where there's this ion exchange that goes on and it literally takes the calcium and magnesium out of the water, this will not do that. Instead, what it does is it neutralizes the hardness and the calcium and the magnesium. It suspends them in a manner such that they are unable to fix themselves to whatever it is you don't want them to fix themselves to, i.e. the shower doors, your plumbing fixtures, etc. I will admit I am a little bit dubious about how this could do that, and I apologize for all of the distractions that are not my fault. I can't help the screaming kid across the way, nor can I help the airplanes flying over, so please don't hold that against me. All right, but anyway, we're going to get this system installed, and we'll see how that goes. And then, as I said, later on, we'll do a follow-up to see how well it works. Now, I'm also going to change this up again. I'm going to go back to having a hose just laying here on the ground for the clean out. I'm going to disconnect this whole assembly, and I'm just going to bring the water in and go straight into this filter system without the bypass valve and all of that. For now, I'm going to keep it inside because we're still hitting below freezing temperatures at night, and I don't want the system freezing up. But my idea is once we get out of that and into the warmer weather, is I'm actually going to place it more closer to the hose bib over here. And I'm going to get a valve box to go over it so that it doesn't get ruined by the weather and other things. And then we'll run, you know, a hose to it right here and then all the way over there, so we won't be having the system inside the RV. And while there's room for it, and it's great in the cold weather, it's just, I would like to get this cleaned up in here so I don't have a bunch of stuff inside the RV. Anyway, we'll get this system pulled apart and the new one in, and I'll show it to you. Wider angle view right now. Hopefully that isn't going to look too weird, but I wanted to be able to get more close up. So this change out didn't go as I had hoped. It went as I expected, but not as I had hoped. We did get the softener out. That's over there somewhere. And then I got the NuvoH system in. First few days, I'm liking it. At least what it seems. And like I said, I'll give you a review later on. We had a couple of issues. The first one's really minor. I've got a leak here. It's not much of a leak because that's all the water that I have gotten overnight. So it's not a big concern, but I can't tell. It looks to me like it's coming from behind their fitting. I don't know what the deal is. So later on, I'm gonna have to take this all off and check it out. Maybe I need to put thread tape on here, I'm not sure. I don't want to over tighten that too much because it'll screw up the threads. Anyway, that was the first thing. The bigger one was this. Holy smokes, was that a problem. We had these super cheap brass fittings in there that had a shut-off valve on them, like a 45-degree angle. It literally broke off inside of here, and I couldn't get pliers on it to grab it and undo it. Not only that, getting it off, this out from the inside, oh my gosh, what a nightmare. I'm going to show you inside what I'm talking about here. All right, let me get this cleared out and then get over there and show you what we're up to, okay? All right, now I'm gonna need this light. Let me show you what's going on in here. Whew. This crawling is hard. Hang on a second. We're in here, and hang on a second. There we go. This fitting here, yeah, if I can get the camera down there. Yeah, I can. Hang on. Okay. So this is the black flush clean out, and there was no way to get this thing out. I mean, I had to unscrew this, of course, and then these little teeth, I guess, I don't know what else to call them, they grab a hold of it, you know, like prongs, and that was the only thing holding that fitting in there.
So I literally had to pry these out with a screwdriver, pry them back. 2 or 3 of them, I think, broke off, and so this thing is barely held in there now. So that was the big problem. It was is getting that thing out of there. I just think that's a really stupid design. I know that's not Brinkley. It's on my Brinkley, but it's not Brinkley's fault. Whoever makes this Nautilus, I guess it's Nautilus, didn't think that through, or maybe they didn't care, but they ought to know everything fails on an RV. In fact, it's not just an RV, at home or whatever. Everything fails. So they should have been thinking about that, and they didn't. So I've got a replacement piece, and let me show that one to you. It's way better than the one that came on my $100,000 RV. Hold on. So here's the new one that I've got, and as you can see, it's got those little tines on it too. Can you see those okay? I think you can. That hold it on, but they're on the outside of this rather than on those that are on the inside. So when this goes on, this is the piece that they're attached to, not this. See, these are attached here to this flange, but in here, on the one that came on it, they're actually attached to this. So that's the problem. So the other big difference, do you see here, aside from the flange, screw holes. Now, why did they not design that way to begin with? I don't know. That just seems like a no-brainer to me. This one, when I looked, is a little bit better. Maybe I'll show you when I'm back in there. It's got like a little clip that goes down and holds it in place, so you can pop the clip up and then pull this out. But this dumb one, leave me a comment, maybe I'm the dumb one, if you know, but there was no way for me to get this out except to pry those off. So now I've got this one. Oh, and by the way, sorry to get off track here, but the check valve, that got destroyed with that broken fitting that was in there. So as soon as I turned the water off of the flush, it dripped out for the longest time because there was no check valve to hold it. But what I'm gonna do is a little different than maybe what you might think, because everything else that's holding this Nautilus system in, you can't see from here obviously, but everything else that's holding that in place is done with sheet metal screws. And I guess I could have done that, but I just think plastic and sheet metal screws, I don't know, I think it would come loose. So this is what I decided to do. Let me know what you think. So I'm gonna drill the holes when we get out there, and then I got these nuts and bolts, right? So I'm gonna use these nuts and bolts, but I'm actually not gonna use those nuts. I'm gonna use these wing nuts, and then I'm gonna use these spring lock washers, and then I've got some flat washers here to put against them too. And the reason that I'm gonna do that is so that when I need to take it off again, I don't have to worry about stripping out those holes. Now, what I'll do is, it's really hard access in there to turn the nuts, so I'll probably hold the wing nuts and have my wife turn the screwdriver from the outside. Anyway, that's what we're gonna do, and then I'm gonna work on the leak for that NuvoH system. It's not a big deal, but man, those things bug me. And what about you? Doesn't it seem like every single time you do anything with hoses or water that it just leaks when you put it back together? It just drives me nuts. And yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so my wife's doing some laundry, so I can't do this piece done. We'll get at it, okay? Even though I'm not going to need to rely on these to hold it in place anymore, I'm still going to try to preserve them as much as I can. So I'm going to disconnect this, and then I'm going to try to push that out. If it doesn't, I'll kind of wiggle them a little bit and then try to push them out. And I can't film that. Well, some people are better at it than I am, but I'm not going to film it. Anyway, see when I get it undone. Okay, so we got the thingamajigger, the flush valve out. See what I was talking about? The check valve is completely gone. And I actually don't remember seeing what happened to it. So that's obvious why, when we pop this out, that the back pressure was just leaking because no way to hold the water in. Anyway, so now we're gonna try to get our new one in here. So here we go. And again, this is my humble opinion, but again, this is the one that came with it. You can see this one has those little grippers on the flange on the outside. This one had none of that. And there's nothing to hold it on except for that. This one's going to have those 3 screws to hold it in place. I'm thinking it's got to be way better. And we're about to find out. I'll put this up there, mark it, drill my holes, and then we'll get it attached and hooked up. I think I at least see perhaps why they took this flange off. I guess I've been getting ahead of myself. I think they took the flange off on this one, and that's why there was no way to get it off. Maybe I'm wrong, but this one, because of that, the way it is back there, let's see, turn that so you can see it, it won't quite fit flush. So I can guess, I can see why they did that. I'm going to see if I can Mickey Mouse this thing to fit flush. Otherwise, maybe bore that hole out just a teeny bit. Of here, that was on this piece here, and that went around here, and then obviously that's the cap for the plug. But I think what I'm going to do is I snip that off, and I'm going to put it in here. And what that will do is it will, well, this still won't fit flush. I don't know if you can see back there or not, but it at least will take up the space so that it doesn't have a gap around it into the inside of the RV. Okay, we're finished. So here's what we've got, and here's how it turned out. First of all, let's start with that black water flush. So there's how it looks. Got a little flat washer back here on each of these, and then on the back side there's another flat washer, a spring washer, and a wing nut. And I put that other little gasket that I snipped off of the old one to kind of hold that, make it more secure and tighter to the wall here. And I like this. I like it really good. It feels so solid, and I like that because it's not the sheet metal screws, I don't worry that it's going to come loose. And because I use spring lock washers on there, I don't think rattling down the road it's going to come loose either. Though I will check it out from time to time and make sure. Now, additionally, remember I had this splitter down here, which I'm going to leave there in case I want a water connection here for doing something, and say the hose bib is far away and I want to get more distance. So I left that there. I'll just leave it shut off all the time. At least I think I'll leave it shut off. We'll make sure it's not overflowing. I better dab the water out of that and check it later and make sure that it's not seeping. I don't want water seeping through here. Okay. And then I got something down in here. I don't know what that is. See if I can get it out. Okay. So what I did here now is on this hose, I have a water meter, quick connect, and then when I need to flush the tank through there, then I have the hose down here with another quick connect. Just plug it in, turn it on, and we're ready to go. I have another splitter way down there. I don't know if you can see it. I'll just turn it on from there and keep an eye on it there. And then I can turn it and shut it off here. So we're good with that. Now, the NuvoH
the NuvoH system. It looks to me like, well, I was just going to say it looks like the leaking has completely stopped, but I think not. I don't know if you can see it. I see a drop just developing right there. So I'm pretty sure that it's coming from inside here. I just can't get it to completely quit leaking, and I'm still going to have to work on that. But it is so minute that it is not a big concern to me. And as I mentioned, or did I mention, I'm planning on putting this outside when it gets warmer, because I just would like to have all of this cleared out so that I can access stuff from both sides, because right now I can't really move much because I'm afraid of this. So everything turned out good. I'm happy with the way things went today. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. My story about a failed black tank clean out fill valve. I hope that this maybe was of some interest and or help to you. Anyway, if you've got any similar experience or ideas or something you saw that I could have done differently or better, which is likely, go ahead and leave it in the comment sections. You know, if you liked it, give me a thumbs up or subscribe, whatever. And there you go. That's it. I don't know what else to say. Okay, goodbye. Have a good day. See ya.